In this video, it is all about fees. Yeah, that sounds not fun at all. I know it doesn't. But but it is a real part of renting in Austin or anywhere in Texas, really. So we're going to cover the fees, right? What are the fees? How many fees are there? What are the standard fees? What should I know? Because when you're looking at a rent price or you're looking at rental prices with a particular property, that's like what they call base rent, meaning that's where it starts. That's not what you're going to pay total, right? So fees, let's jump into it. Number one, you're definitely probably going to have a trash fee. Okay. So trash, whether it's valet or not, you're going to have a trash fee because the property is having to take out the trash and dispose the trash, and they have to pay the waste management company to come pick up the trash for all 300, 900, however many people, however many units that are on that property. Okay, so there's probably going to be a trash fee. Two, pest control, spraying bugs, taking care, rats, rodents, whatever, pest, period. And really here, you're more going to look at like bugs and everything, right? Because I mean, Austin has a lot of trees, there's a lot of nature, so I mean, bugs are just a part of the package, right? So that's going to be in there, right? And that's typically those two are typically going to be tied together, right? Now, speaking of trash, there could be a third, which would be a variation, which is valet trash. Now, typically, if you have a valet trash fee, you won't have a regular trash fee. Valet trash is where you have a trash bin. You can put your tied and sealed trash bag in that bin, and then you put it outdoor, right outside of your front door. And then somebody comes and it picks up, and someone comes and picks up that trash, takes it out, and then they leave you the empty bin that you put back into your apartment, and you do it again for the next pickup. Now, with valet trash, those are typically specified days. So if you put trash out there and it's not the day for pickup, you are just stinking up the hallway. Please don't do that. As your fellow neighbors, please don't do that. If you make fish or something like that and you put the bones in the trash, please don't put it out in the hallway. Just get some steps in and take it to the dumpster, and then like save it for, save the valet trash for the next time, right? So that may be like hey, they come Monday, Wednesday, Friday. They may come Tuesday, Thursdays. In some properties, I've seen them come every weekday, right? Monday through Friday, every day. But really, predominantly, it's going to be like 2 or 3 days a week. It's not typically going to be every day, so I don't even want you to have that expectation. Just be pleasantly surprised if you do find a property that does it every day. Okay, so that's three, right? So we got trash, we got pest, and then we have valet trash, which will take the place of trash if you have that at that property. Okay, the next set of fees, what we're starting to see more and more is amenity fees, right? So a lot of properties are upgrading their amenities, being their pool, maybe being their resident lounge, being Zoom rooms or co-working spaces, being gyms or upgraded equipment in the gyms or remodeling. So you're starting to see more amenity fees out there, right? And I guess pricing could, I know, really be helpful for you here. The only thing is there's no standard, right? Every property has its own set of fees. So the amenity fee at one property is probably going to be different at another property. I've seen an amenity fee as low as $25 a month. I've seen amenity fees as high as $200 a month, right? So when you're like, well, what are these prices, Marcus? The price of the fees? It really ranges, right? It really differs. And the biggest, I have to say, the biggest differentiator in knowing what your range is going to be is where you are renting. Okay, so if you're renting like in Round Rock, you're probably not going to have high fees in these categories. But if you live in downtown Austin, it's probably going to be a lot higher than a Round Rock, or probably a lot higher than it's going to be in, say, a Mueller area. So know that going in, there isn't, like, again, there isn't a standard pricing for these fees, but it's typically going to be higher in the more denser areas of Austin and surrounding areas. So know that going in. So amenity fees, right? Another fee that you might see is what they call a technology fee. So a technology fee is going to be like Wi-Fi for residents, right? You can tap into Wi-Fi. Some properties provide Wi-Fi, so you don't have to go get your own internet account because they already offer it. And so that's typically wrapped up in the technology fee. Another element within technology fee, there may be um, like Nest thermostats throughout the property, or there may be some type of automation throughout the property, not just in your unit. And so, since it's common areas or considered common areas, that technology fee will play a part of that as well. So, if you're dealing with some type of key fob, that may be tied to a technology fee. If you're using some type of smartphone access or smartphone lock, that may be part of the technology fee as well. So, again, technology fee isn't found everywhere yet. But if you do see it, don't be surprised, right? So technology fee is definitely another fee. Um, Touching on the internet piece just a little bit. Now, for the most part, most properties will require you to set up your own internet with an internet provider. But that property may only be limited, or may only be wired to certain technology providers or certain Wi-Fi internet providers, right? So some properties may have Spectrum, or it may have Google Fiber, or it may have AT&T. And another property just may have Google Fiber. Another property just may have AT&T. Another property just may have Spectrum. And then, of course, another property may have two out of those three, and could have some other ones that you probably haven't heard of and I haven't heard of yet. Right? There are a couple of one-offs out there, so I want that to be known. There are a couple of one-off internet providers out there, but they're typically, backed by, larger companies, or using the network or of a larger company. So know that going in, most properties will have you set up your own internet account, but there's a sprinkle of properties out there. They're like, no, you just plug in to your unit and internet is already provided. And if they offer that, in most cases, it's like hundreds of megabits, right? So if you're like, I have not seen a property that offered fiber automatically already wrapped in to their technology fee. So if you game, or if you stream often, or if you create content and you're using a lot of tools, I definitely think maybe gigabyte, fiber, or a gigabyte of internet speed will probably be your best bet versus using like the default. And typically, if they offer the internet in the unit, you still have the option to set up your own in most cases. So I just want to make sure that was clear. So we covered trash, we covered pest control, we covered valet trash, which will replace the regular trash if you have it, right? We covered amenity fee, we covered technology fee. Now, 5 so far, we have more to go. Now, Austin is very pet friendly, and in some cases, sometimes a little too. It's like, really, do you really need to bring the dog in the grocery store? But I digress. That's a completely different topic. But now since you do have, little fur babies, pet fee. Now, pet fee is going to be like kind of like a deposit. So if you have pets, if you have dogs, there are pet fees involved, whether you have one or you have two. Most properties are only going to limit you, or are only going to allow two pets in a unit. Okay, so it's one pet fee if you have one. It's a slightly higher pet fee if you have two pets, right? And then there's going to be pet rent. And typically, now that has been pretty standard. I've seen $15 a month per pet, and I've seen $25 and $30 a month per pet. And that's kind of the range, kind of the standard that you can expect. I haven't really seen anything higher than that. But again, at the time of this recording, it's ranging about $15 to $30 per pet per month in addition to your rent. Okay, cool. Got that. So that's actually two I covered there, right? So pet fee, which is, kind of like the deposit, but it's really a fee. It's not a deposit because you don't get it back. And then there's the pet rent. Cool? Cool. The next thing we want to talk about for you is deposits, right? So when you sign up or when you are registering or you are applying for a unit, once you get approved, they're going to ask you for a deposit, right? And that deposit is going to range. It's going to be based on like your rental history, your credit history, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's going to be a few $100, right? And it can go anywhere. Well, let me not just say a few $100. It can range from a couple $100 to like 2 months rent, right? So if you're looking at renting an apartment, say for $1,500, and you have to put a deposit down, it could be $250 as a deposit in addition to the $1,500, or it could be $3,000, right? Because that's 2 months rent. Like the amount was 1,500 times two. That's where I'm getting the $3,000 from. $3,000 plus the 1,500 for the first month, right? Yeah, that doesn't sound good, but I want you to be aware. I want you to know uh, what to expect when you are renting in a way of fees. And I guess we're also getting into deposits too, because I think that's also very, very helpful. Now, you're like, bro, like what is going on? Like, why would that be such a swing? And a lot of times it's approved, right? And so you typically have like the lower deposit. And again, I'm not saying if you have the lower deposit that it's going to be $250, right? The lowest deposit for that property could be $750 because they're tying it to the unit, right? So I've seen it where properties may say, okay, our deposits, it's say again for an example, $750 for a one bedroom, right? Well, it's $500 for a studio, but it's $1,000 or $1,250 for a two bedroom unit, right? So it varies. There's no standard. It's based on the property that you choose, right? Now, when I've seen it get really high, that's when you kind of have the approval with contingencies, or well, not contingency, excuse me. It's approval with conditions. There we go. So whenever someone gets approved, maybe you don't have the greatest rental history. Maybe you don't have the greatest credit, or maybe you're coming from a different country and you don't have a social security number yet, or maybe you have a social security number but you don't have any credit because you just came into the country, right? And so in any of those scenarios, that can be approval with conditions. And when it's typically approval with conditions, that's when you start seeing like the higher amounts of deposits required to get your unit. Okay, so that's deposits. The next fee, and there's probably say the next two. We'll say two because they kind of go hand in hand, and that is the application fee and the admin fee. Okay, so when you are applying for a unit, let's just say you go to a property, you're like, I like this property, this is the one, I love it, let's do it. And they're like, cool, fill it out online, you're gonna do your application. If Marcus helped you, make sure you put his name as a referral. And what they'll do is before you start the application, you have to pay an administrative fee, right? That's the admin fee. That can range. That can be anywhere from $50 to $250 to $400, right? Again, that's going to depend on the property. That's going to depend on the property that you choose. And then while you pay the admin fee, there's going to be the application fee, right? Because there's going to be a fee for them to process that application. The administrative fee is covering them doing the administrative work, working with the third party to do the background check on you. They have to do paperwork. They have to submit things. They have to pay for the background check. They have to pay for their credit history and the rental history. And so they pass that cost on to us, renters. So the admin fee and the application fee, those are typically the two fees when you apply for an apartment that is required for you to take that unit off the market so no one else can rent it. If you open up, let's say you get the quote via a link and you click it to start your application fee. Now let's just say, or excuse me, start your application. And let's say you get to the screen where there's a fee and you just like, let me think about it. Do I really want this? And someone else goes online with that exact unit because it's not taken off the market, and they go and they pay the application fee. And then you, after they pay the application, you're like, you know what? After thinking about this for like 20 minutes, yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and move forward with it. I'm gonna go ahead and move. And you click the link to apply, you're gonna get an error because somebody paid the application fee first, or the application admin fee, to take that off the market. Everything is electronic. Everything is automated when it comes to applying for an apartment. So if you get the application fee, my recommendation is don't sit on it. I've helped people in the past, and when it came down to the application fee, they were like, well, I'm just going to take another night. Or I'm going to apply later. I'm going to have dinner, I'll meet with some friends, kind of talk to them about it, and then I'll apply for it when I get home. And then they get home and then the link doesn't work. And then they text me or email me or call me, and I'm just like, what? I thought we were going to apply for it. Well, what ended up happening, someone who had saw it 2 days earlier or earlier that day went online and was able to click it and applied for it and took it. So that's a completely different conversation. But the admin fee, the application fee, that is what's required to take a unit off the market. And then once you're approved for that unit, then you'll pay the deposit and the proration of the first rent. So even though I left these at the very end because those are probably the most important, last but not least, right? Those two, admin and application, takes the unit off the market. Once you're approved, you'll pay the deposit that is aligned with your background check and your, approved or approval conditions, and you'll pay the deposit after admin and application. I want to make sure this makes sense because I know it's a lot of information. Admin application takes the unit off. Once you're approved or approval conditions, you'll pay your associated or aligned deposit plus the proration of the first month rent. Those four fees, amounts, get you the unit. Okay. All the other fees that we've talked about, all the other ones will come each month as part of your rent. So that's why when you see base rent, it's just the amount that you see online. All the fees that we covered here, or, and properties will give you their list of fees so you'll know it before applying for it. You have the base rent plus the fees that we've covered here will be added on top of that rent, and that's what you will pay each month. So I hope that's been helpful. A lot of information, I know. There's a list. There's a list there, right? So, but the point of this video is that I want to make sure it's clear. I want you to know what you're getting into, what you're having to pay, what's going to be put in front of you, so you don't get shell shocked. You're like, whoa, what is all of this? No one told me all of this. I'm telling you now, so you can be like, I got it, I'm good. And while someone else is like, I don't know if I want this unit or not, you're like, I already know this stuff. Boom, 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 apply, taken. See you when I see you. So again, I hope this has been helpful. I don't do this to scare you, but I do this to prepare you. If there's anything I left out, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments below. You know, I got you covered. I'll reach out, I'll respond 100%. Or if I need to make another video, I'll definitely do it in a future video. Don't worry about that. If you want a little help with your apartment search, feel free to give myself and my team a shout. We'd love to help you out, make this as streamlined and easy as possible for you. If you're already in an apartment, you're like, we got it, bro, we're good. But we could have a couple of items to put in the apartment, then take a look in the description. And we have a couple of links down there that can help you get your apartment looking just the way you want it. And until then, you stay awesome, stay amazing. Whoa.